Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations, proclaims that all of the human family, without distinction of any kind, have equal and inalienable rights of human dignity and freedom.
Good boy. Good boy.
For the handicapped child, these rights are no less. Each deserves whatever treatment or education he needs to reach his full potential as a human being.
Oh, good boy.
Okay, let's take the next block. Can we put this block on top? Good for you.
What's this? What? Scott, huh? Donna, what's this? Comb. A comb. Good girl. What is this, Donna? It's a bite.
I'll do this.
Away. Away.
Now you try it.
There is no dignity for you or for me in relying on another human being for every bite of food which goes into our mouths. And there was no dignity for Terry either. From the time they learned Terry was severely mentally retarded, her parents had searched for programs to teach her the simplest self-help skills. Yet the limited centers they found would not accept a child who was unable to care for his own basic needs, nor did they offer to assist the parents in training Terry in these skills. Physicians recommended permanent placement in an institution. But Terry's family wanted her to remain at home.
The only ones that gave me suggestions were to put her in an institution. And they were, I think they were trying to be helpful. They really meant well, but it just wasn't.
So Terry met a dead end. No facility existed to teach her the basic self-help skills or would accept her until she learned them. Terry's problem is not a unique one. But if there is no beginning, there can be no hope. In September 1972, Rainbows United Incorporated opened its doors to 5 children who, like Terry, were profoundly or severely brain damaged. The only requirement for entrance into the program was that a child lack one or more of the basic self-help skills Rainbows was designed to teach. These include self-feeding, self-dressing, self-toileting, and basic language. A child who possesses these skills finds training programs available to him in nearly any community. But a child who doesn't have them faces 3 alternatives: immediate or eventual placement in an institution, custodial care, or learning to perform those tasks so he can move into a more advanced training program. 1 month after the program opened, every child had learned to independently feed himself through a procedure called shaping. Using the shaping process, the instructor holds the child's hand on the spoon and helps the child guide the spoon into his mouth. Then, very gradually, he decreases his assistance by removing his hand when the spoon is very near the child's mouth. As the child's skill increases, the instructor gives less and less help, allowing the child to complete the task for himself, scooping his food and guiding it to his mouth independently. Like every task which is taught, this requires the total cooperation of the families of the children. Parents are trained to follow the same procedures at home.
Vanessa, pull your pants up.
At school, the day is divided into 20-minute learning sessions, where the children are worked with on a one-to-one basis by a paraprofessional volunteer or staff member under professional guidance.
Here you go. Warm up, Melissa.
Each child's program is individually written to accommodate his specific needs. Evaluations which state goals and accomplishments in measurable terms are sent to the parents each week. The goal sheets are coupled with instruction sheets, which contain suggestions for the parents to follow in continuing the work on these goals at home. Through the use of these goal sheets, children are constantly evaluated and the goals are revised accordingly. The goal sheets further serve as an evaluation for staff members who believe that for too many years, Too many educators have placed the burden of learning on the student rather than the burden of teaching on the instructor. If the child fails to learn a task and must remain on it for more than 1 week, the teacher has failed to teach that goal.
Instead of waiting like a whole month or a whole semester and then getting a report or being asked a question, at the end of each week we get the report and we can see what the child's accomplished and what the goal is. And the next week, if the child doesn't accomplish that, we still have the same goal, but we know right where we're standing, at home and at school.
They need their hugs and kisses. A certain amount of this is good. But yet the attention they receive at Rainbows, it's instructive. They're learning.
Monthly parent training sessions make suggestions for new methods of motivation at home, review current literature on mental retardation, and zero in on home behavioral problems. Parents are encouraged to share solutions which have been helpful to them with a school instructor.
Capable of doing anything for herself, going up and down the stairs like she's learned here, or the feeding, or responding to the potty trainer, or anything.
Michelle was 6 years old when she entered Rainbows. Her evaluation stated that she was profoundly brain damaged. She did not feed herself, dress herself, toilet herself, or talk. The only sound she made was a wail when she was frightened or in pain. She took liquids from a bottle.
Good girl. That's really good one. That's good.
Before they learn any of this other stuff, they have to learn to pay attention. And that's really a big step here is the testing on the attention span with the stopwatch and one thing or another and building over weeks.
It took 6 months of daily training sessions before she completed the first step in dressing herself, grasping an embroidery hoop and placing it on her arm. Each step was a triumph for Michelle and for her teachers, and another step toward disproving the belief that profoundly retarded children cannot learn. Like other parents, Michelle's mother, Carol, acts as a volunteer in the program. She's the team leader for teaching dressing skills. Checking each child's program and progress, she answers questions from her team members and interprets scores to the volunteer evaluator. A year ago, Carol didn't think of herself as a teacher.
Before, she just let Michelle do whatever she wanted to do and just worked around her. But now, you know, she tries to make Michelle go ahead and do and try and set her in a normal setting rather than just let her run wild or go off in the corner and sit by herself all day long.
Scooter. What is that, Donna?
Language development is an essential part of the training program. Because children must be able to imitate before they begin to spontaneously utter the sounds and words they hear, the speech program begins with teaching imitation of sounds and words. Later, children learn to label objects and pictures of objects and then to form sentences.
How's she doing? She does real good in identifying words. Identifying the pictures with one word.
Okay. Try and expand it a little bit. Have her say more. Say,
What?
it's a fly or whatever the picture is.
If left to themselves, profoundly or severely retarded children probably wouldn't learn the basic imitative procedure. The only thing which makes human beings different from animals is the ability to symbolize. To give a child that ability is to give him his humanness. Language unlocks that door, which keeps the profoundly retarded person inside himself and brings him out into a real world where his basic wants and feelings are heard.
Read the picture. What is this, Donna? A monkey. Mama! Good girl. That's right, grab it.
Gross and fine motor development is another phase of the Rainbows program. There are no requirements as to how physically able a child must be before he enters this program. Many children have learned to hold up their head, then to sit, to crawl, to stand, and to walk at the center. One step at a time is the philosophy which is emphasized by the optimistic outlook of the staff. If the child is breathing, you have a start.
Which hand for Tim? Which hand does Tim want?
Parents are encouraged to learn general principles of program writing, so they'll be able to help their child learn any given task long after he's graduated from Rainbows.
At that time, if you understand generally how to write a program, you'll be able to zero in on whatever difficulty he is having in his learning, and you'll be able to show him a better way to do it.
Let's take something very simple. Watch me carefully as I take this scarf off of my neck, and so that you'll have an idea of where to start writing the program. The main thing to remember is when you teach your child to perform any of these tasks, break it into small segments and then teach him the last step first. So the first step you would be teaching him would be to let it go from his shoulder. The second step you would teach him would be to get it over his head. The third step, to transfer hands and then cause him to come back to the very beginning, get it over his head.
Another unique aspect of Rainbows is that when a child has learned enough skills to respond in a group, he is then integrated with normal children in a preschool setting. The normal children enrolled are the brothers and sisters of those participating in Rainbows, and the children of staff members and community volunteers. Volunteers understand that they are not serving mental oddities, but children who have many characteristics, one of which is mental retardation.
No one ever tells children about mental retardation, so children grow up with a lot of the prejudices that they get from adults. I'm very interested in having my children participate in the nursery and Rainbows because I want them to grow up realizing that retardation is acceptable, that those children that are mentally retarded are human beings.
When brothers and sisters are included, they come to better understand and accept this program that their parents are involved in. The thrust of the school has been to provide a quality, low-tuition program for children who needed one or more basic skills to enter another program. The project began on a shoestring, and all volunteer staff, with no money, working in donated facilities, with untrainable children, in a project that many educators claimed would fail, might not sound like a promising beginning. But the love and determination of the community can work miracles, and miracle after miracle kept Rainbows alive during its first difficult years. The Pleasant Valley United Methodist Church members who donated facilities for the project were among the first to lend their support.
The primary function of any church is outreach and a support to the community in which it's located. And Rainbows certainly fits in this category as an important part of our image and a part of our program.
Individuals and groups teamed up to make whatever equipment was required for a particular child to learn a task. If the child couldn't button a button on a button board, he was given something more basic to master. A wooden disc through a slot was the first step for some children to learn to button. For others, it began when they learned to hold the disc in their hand. In its first year, more people received an education than the 24 children who were enrolled. 50 high school students, 40 university students, and more than 100 nursing students earned course credit working and observing at the center. Professionals from the community gave their time as consultants, and children first enrolled have learned all of the basic skills and have graduated into other programs. As the center continues to grow, help is needed on all fronts. Volunteers answer questions, train new volunteers, edit the newsletter, answer correspondence, and lead guided weekly tours. Often they leave the center to speak to interested community groups. The philosophy which runs through the program insists that every child can learn, that if he is not learning, it is because there is no incentive or because the program has not been made workable for him. The center takes steps to alleviate these problems for the child, thus acting as his stepping stone from nothing to something. Webster calls Rainbow an arch of light formed opposite the sun after a storm. Legend calls Rainbow a promise which has been known to end in gold. That's what Rainbows is all about. For if there is no beginning, there can be no hope.
She's going to Rainbows, and that's where she wants to go, and every day she expects to go there.